can talk
Yes.
about asynchronous agents in production and their failures and fixes. Here is Meryem, Arik.
Is this what?
Let me check. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's my Claude code. Right. Can you all see that? I think we can. Hello, everyone. So, hands up if you've heard of Maltbot or OpenClaw or Clawbot. Okay, keep your hands up if you've actually played with it. Interesting, not that many. Probably some security conscious people here. So I'll give you the TLDR of what Maltbot is, and it's blown up my both Twitter and LinkedIn over the last few weeks. It's an open source project that has now renamed itself 3 times. It started off as Maltbot and then was OpenBot and now, no, OpenClaw, and is now, no, I don't know, I can't remember all the names. I think it's now OpenClaw. And essentially what this is it's the first example of personalized async agents. They run for essentially in the background. I can WhatsApp it on my phone and ask it to do something for me. I can ask it to reply to an email on my behalf, and it just runs off in the background and kind of does what it wants. To the extent where it's even started its own social media, I can't remember the name of that either, Maltbook, where these agents in the background talk to each other. It's all very, very weird. So I'm going to come back to the Maltbot concept in my talk, but first, this is about me. ChatGPT generated that today. I used to be a physicist. I'm now the CEO of Doubleword. That's my LinkedIn if you want to say hi. I'll give everyone a second to scan the, well, not everyone. There's just a couple people. Maybe everyone else is already connected to me. So I'm in inference. I've been in inference from the days of BERT and YOLO, like our friend was talking about before, old school, well, not actually that old school. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about inference. Inference is a game of trade-offs. You have this triangle of low latency, low cost, or high quality inference. And you can only ever have 2 out of the 3. You can decide to trade off costs, have really expensive inference. So for example, Anthropic's, most models would fall into that category, where you can get low latency, high model quality, but you do suffer with cost. You can make a different trade-off, which is against model quality. You can deploy a small model, and then you get something that's low latency and cheap. And then, or you can have a situation that is both low cost and high model quality, but you sacrifice on latency. So an example of this is like batched endpoints. I think a rare exception to this might be our friend that spoke earlier with specialized models. If you have specialized small models, you can actually get all 3, but I'm talking about in the generics of LLMs. I'm not paid by him, but maybe I should be. You can buy me a drink afterwards. And so this particular mode of sacrificing your latency but getting really low cost, high quality tokens is actually the kind of inference that I'm most interested in. You can plot all the inference providers in the world broadly onto a graph like this. You can have low latency expensive tokens provided by people like Cerebras. You can have high latency but very low cost tokens provided by someone like us. We're a batched inference company. So going back to Maltbot, what does any of this have to do with Maltbot? Well, one of the biggest things that people are complaining about with Maltbot is how expensive it is to run. You can very, very easily run into spending hundreds of dollars worth of tokens, potentially even thousands of dollars, because it's doing so much inference work, essentially purely in the background. So I got inspired to talk about this based on something that a customer sent to me. And they sent to me this, which is something that they had given their Maltbot to try and reduce the costs. They'd essentially told the Maltbot to delegate tasks based on the most appropriate model for the use case. And this is something that you can use either for your Maltbot or in just production applications in general, using the right model for the task. So what they decided to do is they had said to their Maltbot for large-scale data processing, any task that can wait, an hour or 24 hours, or late night tasks, they should use a low-cost inference provider. So not sacrifice on the quality, but sacrifice on that latency. And for real-time requests, for challenging tasks, they should use Claude 4.5 for really, really hard tasks. And maybe for like really simple real-time tasks like routing, they could use a small real-time model like a Quen 3 30 billion. And in the next version of this, they're going to have a little bit here that says, and for extraction tasks, you use NumMine, blah, blah, blah. But for now, this is what they have. And so they're essentially picking the right tool for the task, which is really, really nice. If you're more of a visual person than a code person, you could also think of it like this. It's not perfect, ChatGPT made it. You have your task coming in, and your agent, your async agent that's running in the background can say, what kind of task is this? Am I, for example, trying to do a bunch of, I don't know, data extraction, or am I trying to do a bunch of data processing? I might use the Doubleword batched API. Am I trying to do very real-time work? Then I might go to OpenRouter and pick whichever model is right for my task and my use case. Now, that is kind of the key insight. Key insight is this. So that's the TLDR. I now have to do the mandatory promotion, but it won't be boring, hopefully. So what we do at Doubleword, hands up if you've been to Costco. Oh my God, you are so excited. That's really funny. So Costco was like my favorite place on earth as a child. If you don't know what Costco is, it's essentially like a warehouse store where they sell everything in bulk, and they also sell hot dogs at the end. And it's very, very cheap. It's like a super, super cheap shop, but you can't buy anything in less than like a pack of 12. You can kind of think of Doubleword as like the Costco, but for inference. Yeah, that's why I've got my hat. This is our real logo, but I made this if you're into Costco. Well, we sell tokens, like all other inference providers sell tokens, but our USP is we sell them in bulk, and as a result, we can sell them for much, much, much cheaper. Like 99% cheaper than Anthropic for the same quality model. So, use cases of when this is really helpful. If you have any of these, you should come talk to me. Data processing, data generation, async agents like the background tasks that your Claude bot might be doing, model evals, data labeling, and new search methods. This is a link to a new search method that our CTO wrote up that you can use batched endpoints for. It's a cool idea that replaces using embedding models with essentially rank search. So, other things that make us different, we're very cheap, we're just built for batched inference, so we have really good, okay, apparently the QR code is broken, but hopefully the next QR code is not broken. We have a 1 hour and 24-hour SLA, so you don't have to just wait the 24 hours that all other providers make you wait. You can set something off before you go to lunch and come back, and we stream responses as well. Now, please tell me this QR code works. So you should scan this QR code, because this actually allows you to sign up. And because you are here in a real life meetup, we give you free credits as well. And we give you, I don't know, $10 or $20 worth of free credits. And if you can spend $10 of credits within a week, I will buy you a beer. We have a friend, my friend here, who actually used the service, and you signed up 2 weeks ago. Have you spent your $10? No. He's nowhere close to spending his $10, and that's because it's so cheap. So you can sign up and make our GPUs do some work. That's it. Oh, that didn't work either. Okay, so everyone is going to pull out their phone and type in app.doubleword.ai. God. Live demos. You're going to type in this. Word. And this is actually really funny, because the reason this QR code doesn't work is because I'm too cheap to pay for the pay plan for the QR code generator. And I use all of the money that I saved there to give you guys cheaper tokens. I'm like the Michael O'Leary of inference.
You can just generate it in the Canva for free.
Can you?
Or directly in Chrome.
Wait. Ooh, okay, so someone's going to come up and talk to me about how to generate free QR codes. But if you sign up there, we'll give you a bunch of free tokens. Did that work? Okay, thank you. My friend in the polo neck is helping me out. Perfect. Well, I think that's all I've got to say. Pick the right use case, the right tool for the task, and sometimes the right tool is slow but cheap and in volume, and if it is, you can come speak to us. Bye. I was told I'm not allowed questions, but you can come talk to me later if you want.
Actually,
we have time for questions.
yeah, actually we have time, and we can have a few questions.
Hello. You're going to teach me how to generate a QR code for free later.
Maybe the overview. When you talk about streamed responses,
Yes.
is that like a particular format, or just like JSON blobs, or usually in the terminal? Like how are you outputting those streamed responses?
So essentially, as soon as you submit the batch, we automatically create the file, your output file, and you can download that file. We populate that file as we go. So what most batch providers do is you send a request, and at some point within the 24 hours, they maybe do your thing, and often they don't, and then they just give you the money back. What we do is we create the file as soon as it starts, and we start populating it as soon as it starts processing. And you can download that file halfway through, 3/4 of the way through. A lot of our customers who do really big batches like to do that, to essentially start working on the results.
Because sometimes what happens, and I think some people might relate when you use cursors, like agentic mode, like it keeps running in the background, it consumes so many credits, it doesn't give you the response, and then mid something, like if your battery dies out, or you're suddenly disconnected of the internet, your entire credits go, your output goes, and then you have to start again and again, and it gets costly, and we can't afford anything in this economy. But yeah,
I know.
So,
Yeah, I can't even afford QR codes. Yeah, so it's it's essentially to solve problems like that. Also, we save the responses on our end as well, but you can poll and kind of start working on responses as they go. Another fun thing that we found that our customers are using the platform for that we didn't expect is, okay, this is not going to work. Is it going to work? No, okay, maybe not. Is we created something called Auto Batcher. This is an open source project that you can use with. Sorry, I was just Googling you before. I was trying to make sure I got the messaging right. I have literally no shame. I was just trying to get the messaging right. We created this little package called Auto Batcher. I'm just checking all my other tabs are fine. I think we're okay. Auto Batcher is essentially a drop-in OpenAI replacement, and so you can send your real-time request to this, and it will do the batching for you, so you don't have to change anything with your API. So if you use a real-time API, you can use this. And what we found is a lot of customers are using this, and essentially they're using the batched API like a real-time API. It's really strange to watch. So that we get requests or batches of 5 requests, and they just send 5 requests every second. And what that means is you can kind of also use that for it to be asynchronous but fit into your synchronous flows, which is cool. You can try that. Hello. You look like you have a question, but your hand's not up. So not to pressure you.
I build with AI, I'm a coder, right? So I'm seeing the length of tasks that I delegate to my coding agent increase over the past year from 1 minute to now hours. So how do you think about that? Are we gonna dispatch our coding tasks into kind of these async batch APIs and run them overnight or whenever tokens are cheapest?
It kind of makes sense to do that, right? Because you've said, maybe a year ago, you were just using the auto-completion function. It needed to be super, super low latency. But now we're at the stage where, when I use Claude Code, it runs for 2 hours before I come back to it. The models are going to be good enough that it'll be running for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is. And at that point, you don't really care about the inter-token latency. The thing you care about is your global throughput and also the cost. And so I do think we're going to see more and more people moving to specialist high throughput APIs like ours and away from really, really low latency APIs. I think it's a big misconception that we've seen in the field, my hot take, is that the growth of inference means we're going to see more and more low latency inference, and I think that's wrong. I think we're going to see higher throughput inference, because as AI is getting better, the human interaction matters less and less, which is kind of scary, but let's gloss over that for a second. I don't need to, for example, press tab every time it does an inference. I can treat it almost like a second colleague, and then kind of goes and does its thing and comes back.
It doesn't need to interact with me, but it does need to interact with my...
With your tools? Great question. So we have full tool support, and currently our customers are using the 1 hour SLA for things that have like agentic loops and need tools. And because it's all streamed, actually, the 1 hour SLA actually acts more like an 8-minute SLA or a 10-minute SLA, because of the way we do scaling. Something we are looking at building in is figuring out how to give like an entire agentic loop SLA, which is like the next thing. We're still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. The idea would be probably something like you attach some kind of trace to your request, and so when it comes back from the tool, it can like skip the queue and go up. But for now, people are using the 1 hour SLA for that, but we are working on that exactly. Hi. I won't be offended if you do need to leave. I know I'm running over, so.
Yeah, it's just kind of a general question.
General question?
I was, listening to the radio and they were saying that RAM prices, so RAM as in chip memory and GPU prices are all going up. So what do you think is going to happen over the next few years in terms of inference costs and how people might react to that?
Inference costs are going to continue going down really, really dramatically. So inference costs have, I remember back in our day, my friend, I've actually never met this man before, but back in our day, I remember when I was like, it's so expensive running a BERT, like they're just so expensive, blah, blah, blah. And like now inference costs have just gone down, probably like 10x every single year that we've been working in inference. They will continue to go out. Every single chip generation that's coming out is like an order of magnitude better than the last, and we still have the last. And when we talk about AI bubble, the AI bubble is largely data center construction. And so we're just getting more and more and more capacity on the line. And from a software layer, we are improving how efficiently we can, produce tokens. Like our inference software runtime layer is probably 100 times more efficient than it was 2 years ago, and we're going to continue seeing that. Now that's going to be balanced with the increase in demand that we're going to see, but I think there's just so much money in this space that we are just going to continue finding ways to make these things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. A cool thing that we've noticed is we dropped the price of our biggest model 2 weeks ago, and what's really, really interesting is when we dropped the price, we actually made more money from dropping the price. Because what we found is that as you drop token price, people just use more tokens. It's kind of weird. It's great. It's a great business.
Psychology.
It's like what?
Things don't say you end up buying more.
Yeah, exactly.
More money, like Costco too.
Like Costco. You go to Costco. You go to Costco and you're like, obviously I need 12 packs of Marmite. I never would have bought that normally, but you end up with it. And that's what we found as well. So inference costs will go down, but people will spend more on inference, is my guess. Hi.
So I'm not sure. So how you what you do? So we just send you the requests for inference, and you batch it at your end. The model is still hosted wherever it is.
We host the model.
Oh, you host the model too.
We host, and the reason we're able to make it so cheap is because we've optimized every single layer of the stack. So hardware, runtime, orchestration, every layer of the stack to focus on being low cost rather than low latency.
So, because what I was going to ask was, what stops the LLM providers to do the batching at their end? Like, they can have, different models, like for poor people, like as OpenAI loves to say.
For poor people.
Like for poor people, it's like we'll batch your request and run at whatever time. And for the rich people, okay, it's another model. So can that be done?
So OpenAI does have a batched API, and if you have a use case where you're happy to wait 24 hours and you don't want to bother changing models, you should use the OpenAI batched API. there are a couple differences. Firstly, their infrastructure is built to be low latency. So they use their batched API to essentially fill in the gaps of when they have spare compute. And so it's not by design cheaper, they're just essentially using over leftovers. Also, we think there's a lot of benefit from building a batched first experience. For example, things like 1-hour SLAs, for example, things like tool calling, how do you enable that within it? How do you enable things like streaming? We're building in direct S3 connectors and BigQuery connectors, so if your data's stored there, there's a lot of DevX work to be done around building a better batch. For most other model providers, it's kind of like a leftover.
So we get a luxury experience at low cost from you.
People love, I mean, you love going to Costco.
I love Costco, it's my Disney bag.
It is. As in, like, people love going to Costco, and yeah, people like using our platform. Yeah, I'm waiting for the cease and desist for this, but it hasn't come yet. Cool. Thank you so much.